I support immigration, but not illegal immigration. This is roughly the average immigration policy view in the United States. On the surface, it holds up, makes sense, but it is fueled by some very harmful myths and ignores some of the most basic economic phenomena. Politicians, news media, or alternate media, whatever your poison may be, the only things they usually offer is shitty evidence to support shitty opinions. Usually it boils down to increased crime, a population explosion that will bring down the welfare state, and some form of nebulous economic sink. Anytime an immigration reform bill was brought onto the House or Senate floor, alarmists would claim that millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions would flood over the border, raping and pillaging as they went, absolutely hell-bent on destroying the United States. Cato has found that the flow of new illegal immigrants is, quote, rather modest and has been sharply declining since March of 2000. Numbers have been cut especially drastically since 2005. The highest estimated number of illegal immigrants the country has ever had is around 16 million, and that number was done by a conservative think tank. The currently widely accepted figure is around 11 million. During Donald Trump's presidential bid announcement, he made some...
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Claims. These claims instantly garnered him much support, particularly in rural areas hard hit by economic downturn. This hypothesis runs counter to the one widely accepted in academia. Popular dogma often identifies immigrant groups as criminal threats that society needs to protect itself from. Since forever, many within the United States have sought to discredit immigrants as criminals. But, even as early as 1901 with the Industrial Commission, a link between immigration and crime could not be found. But this narrative has remained, quote, popularly compelling, even through modern times. Poverty, education, and employment status are far better indicators of crime overall, especially violent crime. Crime can fester when those in the community are afraid of police. For example, in the 1990s, many laws began to spring up that required police departments to check the immigration status of everyone they arrested. This left immigrant communities particularly at risk for crime. This has since been repealed in many places and ruled unconstitutional in others. Even still, many have found that there might be a casual association with immigrant populations and a reduction of crime. Recently, Cato reinforced the commonly accepted view in academia that illegal immigrants have a lower incarceration rate and are also more likely to have a lower crime rate. And again, poverty and education level have a much stronger correlation on crime. Studies done during the mid-2000s discovered a correlation between lower crime and higher immigrant populations. For example, Stowell and Martinez found that crime trended downwards as metro areas gained new immigrants. Ironically, though, second and later generation crime rates eventually increased to match that of the national average. Perhaps this says more about American culture than it does about immigrants. Interestingly, my next point is one that Republicans share with the self-declared Democratic Socialist section across the aisle. It is believed that immigrants push wages down for the average American, and in this age where wages are not keeping up with inflation or costs of living, it can be a safe stance to take and can gain you bipartisan support. To keep this video less like a labor economics lecture, I'll refrain from shoving more academia down your throat. However, I do need to quickly explain the lump labor fallacy. The lump labor fallacy is the concept that the amount of work in an economy is fixed and can be distributed to create more or fewer jobs. It is commonly debunked by stating what is apparently not obvious. Immigrants increase the size of the economy, and so they directly create jobs with their mere presence. Various reports published throughout the 1990s and 2000s have come to the same conclusion. Not only do immigrants grow the economy, they might actually raise the wage floor too. After the 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act, despite its passing during a recession characterized by high unemployment, it still raised wages and increased investment in education, home, and small businesses. Using the IRC as a stepping stone, foreseeably, an extra $1.5 trillion in U.S. GDP growth could be seen with a new comprehensive immigration reform. Generally, immigrants would not be a substitute for native labor, but rather a complement, raising productivity and wages for everyone. Schrodinger's immigrant, both taking a job and leeching off society. This section of the video is going to be much shorter than the other two because it is so easily debunked by a single paper published by Cato. The consumption of benefits is 39% lower for immigrants overall. Adjusted, they consume 27% less than a native-born person of a similar economic status and age. Within the paper are some useful explanations of things like means-tested benefits versus entitlement benefits, even down to who is eligible for what and why. Of course, non-citizens can rarely obtain most of these benefits, so their impact on cost is negligible, considering many of them still pay taxes.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.